Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It helps us more than you could imagine.
That's it. So you look at your bank balance in your business, you're thinking, oh geez, I'm sitting here good, right?
Yeah.
You go and spend some money, and then you go, shit, actually that's a personal purchase. I've now got to take money out of my business, pay tax on that, taking that money out of my business in order to buy that. And that's where a lot of people fall down. And, especially when people buying property and stuff as well, people take out big deposits to put down on property. They can get hit with quite big tax bills.
Because that's what I'm looking at right now. Is
You're getting a little number.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little gaff
Yeah.
in London. Oh, man, I'm getting I'm getting a toilet, essentially.
Yeah.
That's about what I can afford right now. But, it's... like you said, when it comes down to it, when it comes to a house, I want to talk a little bit about buying houses just in general, because I think people might be quite interested in this, and then maybe there's some tips and things for people looking to buy houses. But for me, it was like, right, okay, you have, I've now got to take a load of money out of my company, and you've got to pay taxes on that. So let's say the deposit is £100,000, just for the sake of conversation. You then have to, like, realistically, I've still got probably £30,000 of tax to pay on that, right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of like £130,000.
It's actually more than that, right? So if you need to be left with 100,000, you need to give the mortgage company 100k.
Yeah,
that needs to be like after tax. So let's say it's roughly 30% tax. You'd actually need to take out 150,000, put 50,000 away for tax, so that you've got 100,000 left in that scenario, right? So it's even worse than just the 30%, because you've got to pay tax on tax effectively. So
tax on tax. That is horrific.
I hate this planet.
Right. And in terms of buying houses and things like that, is there any sort of tips? We actually already mentioned Chip having a parking ticket.
Oh yeah.
That's escalated into, what was it called, a CCJ.
Yeah.
And then they, banks won't give you a mortgage because you've essentially got a black mark on your records. Is there any other tips and things that people should be aware of, and some rookie mistakes? I know one thing as well that that a lot of banks don't like is when you have a car on finance, things like that. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. So obviously what a bank is looking at is, can you afford the mortgage? They call it an affordability check. So you need to be able to prove to the mortgage company that you can afford that that mortgage repayment each month. So what they'll do is they'll look at how much money you're earning, but then they'll look at what your kind of fixed monthly outgoings are. So they'll say you might be earning 5k a month, but if you're spending £1,500 a month on car payments, well, actually we're only going to lend to you based on you earning 3,500. We're going to knock that number off straight away. So if you're building up to kind of doing a mortgage application, check your credit score regularly. Make sure that it's as clean as it can possibly be. If you've got any kind of old parking tickets or any old kind of water bills, electricity bills, obviously look to get that all cleared up and make sure your credit score is good. And then the other thing is obviously around. So going back to the obviously the car payments, if you've got regular monthly fixed outgoings, just be mindful that will come off when they work out how much they'll lend you. Other kind of tips, remember stamp duty. So I had a client call me the other day and said, look, they're looking to drop serious money on a property, looking to buy an apartment in London. And they'd never heard of stamp duty, right? And when I told them their stamp duty bill was going to be something in the region of £500,000, that then made obviously the property and the cash that they needed to do that much more expensive. So that stamp duty is a one-off tax payment. You give it to HMRC, you get no benefit for it. You don't see that money again.
It's just gone.
When you get that message, it's going to be an extra 500k. I wouldn't even reply to you.
No, at that point, that's when you block the number.
Yeah,
that's a blockable offence.
Well, that's it.
Like
they were talking about putting down, I think it was around £500,000 deposit on the property, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a £500,000 stamp duty bill on top. So it's gone from, in your mind, you're thinking, right, I need £500,000 to be able to buy this place, put down as and actually, or maybe a bit more than that. But then when you get hit with that stamp duty bill on top, you're going, actually, maybe I'll just rent for another year, right? Maybe we'll just leave it. So so stamp duty's one, obviously always be aware of that. And the other one is obviously trying to put down as much of a deposit as possible. So
it's actually good. You would say it's better to put down, because people always say you want to put down as little as possible. You hear about these 5% mortgages, 10% mortgages, whatever it is, but you actually think if you can.
Yeah, so my view on it is obviously, and again, not financial
Yeah.
advice, but effectively by putting down a larger deposit, you can you pay a lower interest rate, right? So if you're getting a mortgage over 25 or 30 years, if you can get an interest rate of like 1.8% rather than 2.5% over the, depending on how much money you're borrowing, that could be quite a significant saving. Now, obviously, the other thing to bear in mind is if you're self-employed like you guys, and going back to what we were saying about taking money out of your company, you've got this decision to make, right? Do you take out more money from your company and pay more tax, but put down a bigger deposit, or do you pay or take less money out, pay less tax now, but you might have to pay a higher interest rate? And for a lot of people, that's actually the better option, because if you've got £100,000, going back to your example, Cal, that you could maybe invest in your company, and that could grow by say 4 or 5% per year. That's better than taking it as a dividend, paying a load of money to HMRC, and then having to pay, what is historically low interest rates at the moment. So it's very dependent on individual circumstances. But as a general rule, if you're just the general kind of layman's terms and the general public, I'd say, look, if you can get from 90% to 85% in terms of what we call the loan to value, so that's how much you're borrowing against the property's value, then you'll potentially get quite a big reduction in interest rate. Obviously, the government have brought back these kind of 5% mortgages. They've been gone for a little while, and that's great because it can help people get onto the property ladder.
Yeah, it's hard to buy houses right now. Like young people, like this, it's struggles, man. Like
It's expensive,
bro, so expensive. You hear about the stories. You hear like your parents. Oh, I bought this place for like 10 grand,
and now it's worth like half a mil or something.
Bro, they were playing live on easy mode.
Yes,
Yeah, 100%. The average wage now is, I think, something like £27,000-28,000, but the average property price is somewhere between 270 and 300,000. So it's like 10 times. You go back 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it was maybe 4 or 5 times. So young people got it tough at the moment, 100%.
Jesus.
That's rough.
I'm looking forward to buying a house, but at the same time, it does sound like an ordeal.
It's just expensive,
Like
bro.
seeing all that money go. And
that's the worst. That's the worst thing, is knowing that it's the tax is just the worst thing, because it's just going and then you just like, I know Boris is spending this on a holiday.
Yeah, he's off
Like
Marbella
yeah,
with the fucking boys.
with the boys. But no, that stuff. So well, it's super interesting to hear about that sort of thing, and buying a house like nowadays it's so difficult. Like for so many young people, you hear about, even if they're managing to save, like 2 or 3 grand a year, it's like, right, okay, but depending obviously where you live, but I mean, if you're a young person trying to buy a house in London,
Oh no,
forget it.
don't bother.
it's
Just
freaking
go
impossible,
up
yeah.
north.
Yeah, it
That's
literally
where
is.
you wanna
Go and
be.
buy in Hull or something like that. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Where is that? I don't want to bring it up again, but Bolton, yeah.
You can't stop. You
Bro, I'm
cannot
telling
stop
you, the
talking
house
about
prices there are like, you can get a castle.
I've heard Wigan's a spot at the moment.
Wigan.
I've heard
Are we off to Wigan?
I saw TikTok about it the other day saying Wigan's a great spot.
Yeah.
So Nick, who works with me, I think you've known Nick for a little while. He's from the Wirral, so up kind of near Liverpool, and he lives down here, and obviously I work and live in Brighton, and he sends me houses like from up home, and like for what you get a 1-bedroom apartment down in Brighton, you get like a 5-bed mansion with like a garden for the same price.
Isn't it?
It's ridiculous. And obviously with the world, with COVID and everyone able to work from home, you could work from anywhere in the world right now, right? I could be on a beach in Ibiza. I could still be doing my job. You guys would know no difference. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 12 months with where people are going to be working, what office is going to look like in the future. So
yeah, man. Because that is actually a big thing that people are talking about now, is that everyone's just going to work from home. I think like what company was it recently that said, was it Twitter? Twitter said, we're scrapping offices. Yeah,
Spotify.
And it's because it's saving them money. But I don't like the idea of working from home. I don't like it. I think do you not enjoy going in and like chatting to people, seeing people's faces instead of being sat at home?
100%. In an office environment, it's really difficult not to in order to build a culture when everyone's working from home. Yeah, definitely miss it. I think I'd like to still keep some balance of doing some work from home. Yeah. But yeah, excited to get back in the office 100%. But you work from home, don't you? You got an office at home?
Yeah. So I've changed the room to an office. So Sam, the editor Sam, he's got his setup in there, and then it works really well actually. But yeah, like, because I need to see especially when it comes to like editing and stuff, I need to see it, and then I could just make quick changes instead of him having to render out the whole video, upload it to YouTube, send it across to me. I make notes on it, send it back. Oh wait, some more changes, blah blah blah. If I'm sat next to him, we nail it out in 30 minutes. Whereas that process that'd take all day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a lot better.
way better, man.
Because otherwise you're waiting for him to send a file on his TalkTalk internet, and it's just
It's the
you're
worst.
sat there for hours like,
Waiting, doing nothing. Yeah.
yeah, it's bad.